Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, Chucky2009, and today I'm going to be welding with some 6010 on AC, alternating current. Now, pretty much everybody and their brother knows that this probably isn't going to work out too well. As I'm sure you're aware, 6010 is a DC-only electrode, and in fact, some DC welders even have issues running it. If you want to run a 6010-like electrode, get the deep penetration characteristics, the ability to burn through pretty much anything and whatnot, you pretty much just have to run 6011. It's basically an AC version of 6010. That's how it was designed. It works beautifully for that. But realistically, there's no way I'm the only person to ever wonder what happens if you try to run 6010 on AC. And so today we're going to find out because I'm just out here. Thought it'd be a cool little quick video I could throw together for y'all. So anyway, let's begin. Now first off, we'll be using the old precision TIG here. I just got done burning some massive 7024s. But if we look over here, my nice Hobart stickmate comes with this awesome little chart. 6010, let's see, wait, where does it say? 6010, AC, no. Tells it how it is. This is the box for 6010. As you can see, it just says DC electrode positive, and these are Lincoln 5P 6010s, by the way. So we're already set to AC, and I'm just gonna start off on DC at about 90 amps. Now what I'm thinking is, realistically, if we put enough current through a piece of metal, it's gonna melt. The question is, how much is it going to take for that to happen, and how much is it going to stick and sputter and do god-awful things in the process?
How is this happening?
And here's the remains of a burnt red 5P 6010. I'll just set this aside. How did that just happen? That was amazing. Okay, well, you can clearly see the arc kept trying to go out, and each one of these little mounds is where the arc went out. But I wonder if we put like twice as much amperage through it, if it'll stay lit better. Let's find out, because that was awesome. Alright, so I abandoned the whip and pause and just dragged it. Let's try and run a full bead that way. Oh, no frickin' way, that was awesome. And not only was the electrode red before, it's redder now. Wow, that was intense. Okay, well, what have we learned from this? First off, that it's going to want to sputter and die, and if you don't run like the shortest arc humanly possible, that's exactly what it's going to do. I don't think the more amperage really helped it that much. I mean, it did, but we were putting twice as much amperage through and it wasn't running nearly twice as well. So because that worked a lot better than I ever expected it to, let's try it on a different welder. Now, this precision TIG runs 6010 absolutely wonderfully. It's actually one of the nicest 6010 arcs I think I've ever used. However, This is a completely different welder than this. This will do 230 amps on DC. This will only do 160. This is going to have a larger transformer. You know, it's going to run 6010 a little bit better. A lot of the smaller DC only welders, or you know, AC/DC welders or whatever, just don't run 6010 like even somewhat larger welders do, like even somewhat slightly larger welders do. And case in point, this. It can be done on DC, but it doesn't work all that well, quite honestly. I love the stickmate, but you know, that's just sort of typical of these smaller, you know, cracker box welders. So let's just stick this over here, and let's see, we're in the low range. You know what? Let's start at 110-ish. Alright, let's see what happens this time, YouTube. Now look at that pretty weld. Woohoo! Alright, since I'm not failing at this quite as hard as I'd like to, and things are going surprisingly much better than I ever thought they would, let's try electrode negative. And I'll give it another turn of the old amperage wheel. Alright, I'm gonna guess this is gonna be about 120 amps. YouTube, that was interesting. That worked actually surprisingly worse than running them on AC did. Basically, I started our fail over here, and I decided that I didn't want that to look like it was part of this for when I do this part of the video, and so I just ran a straight stringer. And it actually doesn't look that bad now, but when I was welding it, it looked like that's just cold metal piling up on top of the joint. And all those, what look like ripples, those aren't actually ripples caused by like a whip and pause motion. Those are actually caused by the arc going out, then me quickly restarting it, which actually looks more rhythmic than I ever thought it would. But nevertheless, I think there's a reason why they generally recommend running 60-10 on electrode positive, and I think I'm going to continue to do that well into the foreseeable future.